As humans, we are just wired to see patterns. We're constantly trying to connect the dots in the world all around us. But how do you go from just noticing a pattern to really understanding it and maybe even predicting what's going to happen next? Well, today we're unlocking two super powerful tools that do exactly that: correlation and regression. So let's start with a really famous example. If you look at the data, you see this really strange pattern emerge. When ice cream sales go up, shark attacks also go up. They kind of move in sync. So, does that mean your afternoon scoop of mint chocolate chip is somehow luring in sharks? Of course not, right? And figuring out why that is, well, that's the whole point of what we're digging into today. All right, first things first. We need a way to actually measure the relationship we're seeing. And that's where our first tool comes into play: correlation. Think of it as a way to put a specific number on just how strongly two things are connected.
So correlation gives us a formal way to measure two really key things about a relationship. First, its strength. Is it a really strong connection or just a weak one? And second, its direction. It's what we call a descriptive statistic. It's basically just telling us what's happening in the data we've already got.
Okay, now don't get bogged down with the math here. The important thing is the idea, which was developed by Carl Pearson. This formula takes all those messy data points and boils them all down into one single, powerful number. We call it the correlation coefficient, or, just R for short.
So this R value always falls somewhere between -1 and +1. If you get a +1, that's a perfect positive correlation. It means as one thing goes up, the other thing goes up in perfect sync. It's like the more hours you study for a test, the higher your grade. They rise together perfectly.
And on the flip side, you've got -1. This is a perfect negative correlation. So as one thing goes up, the other goes down, just as predictably. For instance, the more gas you have in your car's tank, the fewer times you have to stop at the gas station. One goes up, the other goes down. Simple as that.
And then, right smack in the middle, you have 0. An R value of 0 means there is absolutely no relationship between the two variables. None. They're completely independent. The amount of coffee I drink in a day has absolutely nothing to do with how many satellites are orbiting the Earth. There's just no connection.
And really quickly, it's good to know there are different kinds of correlation. Pearson is the most common, but it's really strict. It's only looking for a perfectly straight-line relationship. Spearman, on the other hand, is a little more relaxed. It just looks for a general trend. So as one thing goes up, the other generally goes up, even if it's not a perfect line.
So correlation sounds amazing, right? It lets us put a number on relationships all around us. But, and this is a huge but, it comes with a really, really important warning label.
This might be one of the most important phrases in all of data and statistics. I'll say it again. Correlation is not causation. It tells you that two things are moving together. It describes the what. But it can't, for the life of it, tell you why they're related, or if one thing is causing the other to happen. It just doesn't have that superpower.
So, okay, if correlation can only describe what's already happened, how do we start to actually predict what's coming? Well, for that, we need to upgrade our toolkit, and this is where regression analysis comes into the picture.
See, regression takes it a huge step further than correlation. The whole goal here is to build a predictive model. We pick a dependent variable, that's the thing we're trying to predict, and one or more independent variables. Those are the factors we think might influence it.
What regression does is it creates a little equation, kind of like a mathematical recipe. Y is what you want to predict, say future sales. A is your starting point, and B is the magic number. It tells you exactly how much Y will change for every single unit you change X. And that U at the end, that's just a little error term, because hey, no prediction is ever going to be 100% perfect.
And this visual just shows the difference so perfectly. That scatter plot on the left, that big cloud of dots, that's correlation. It just shows us, hey, there's a relationship here. But the image on the right, that's regression. It doesn't just see the cloud, it draws a precise line right through the middle of it. We call that the line of best fit, and that line is what gives us the power to make predictions.
All right, let's put these two powerful tools side by side to really hammer home the key differences between them.
So let's break it down. What's the goal? For correlation, it's just to measure a relationship. For regression, it's to predict something. What do you get at the end? With correlation, you just get one number R. With regression, you get a whole predictive equation. And most importantly, they answer totally different questions. Correlation asks, how are these things related? But regression asks the much more powerful question, if I change this, how much will that change? See the difference? It's a huge leap from just describing something to actually predicting it.
Okay, I get it. This is all cool statistics theory. But why should you actually care about this in your day-to-day life?
Well, because understanding this difference, it's a fundamental critical thinking skill. It changes how you see the world.
I mean, think about it. In business, you can use regression to predict your future sales based on how much you spend on ads. In science, it can help figure out how a new medicine might work. But really, most importantly, it helps you avoid falling for silly mistakes. You'll not only see patterns, but you'll start to question them. You'll know the difference between a simple link and a real predictive relationship. And you'll finally truly understand why ice cream sales don't cause shark attacks. It's that hidden third thing, right? Hot weather? Hot weather makes more people buy ice cream, and it makes more people go swimming. It was the missing piece all along.
Here's a good way to think about it. Correlation gives you a map of your data, showing you where things are. But regression draws the road that leads into the future. You've been a pattern finder your entire life, just using your intuition. Now you actually have the tools. So the only question left is, what will you discover?